Hello everyone, Squid of Baconator here, and welcome to today's review. This time I will be looking at the first episode from Nickelodeon's newest show, Welcome to the Wang. A show that not many people have been talking about, and that does have me curious. So I decided to look at it myself and see whether it was good or bad. Okay, before I begin, there's one thing I need to say. Originally, I wanted to do a re-review of Squidward, my least favorite episode from SpongeBob, for many obvious reasons, mainly being that I was terrible as a reviewer back then and I did not know what the fuck I was doing. And now I believe I can actually make a review of quality, so I could look at that episode properly. But I was never able to find the full episode online to download to use for my review, so I ended up scrapping that idea. And this is my plan B. I was gonna wait and do this after my re-review, but since I'm not doing that, I'll be doing this now. So, does the first episode of Welcome to the Wayne show a promise for the new show? Or is this yet another failed attempt at a good cartoon from Nickelodeon? Well, let's find out. There will be 5 categories in which I look at this episode: plot, characters, animation, humor, and my overall enjoyment of the episode. And in the end, I will give my final thoughts on whether or not I recommend this episode to everyone. Now, without further ado, let's begin. First, let's go over the plot. For a while, I struggled to figure out how I would go over the plot in this episode, because a lot of things happen in it, and that's a good thing, mind you, at least in this case. But it's a little hard for me to figure out how to go over it, so I'll quickly skim over what happens. I won't go into detail too much, since that would take too long. And then afterwards, I'll give a few quick thoughts on what I think of the plot. To put it simply, the main focus of the show is on our 3 main characters, trying to figure out the mysteries of the Wang, the apartment building that they live in. And based off this episode, it looks like the focus of the show will be on their adventures through the Wang. A simple premise that has a lot of story potential, and something this episode does live up to, because, as I said earlier, a lot of things happen in this episode. This ranges from character struggles, like Antsy not wanting to be a part of all of this at first, but by the end of the episode, he ends up joining these siblings. And then there's Caroline, who's trying to be the leader, but having to deal with the struggles and restrictions of her still being a kid. The main plot of the episode focuses on the trio trying to uncover a secret library in this building, and also trying to figure out where these creatures are coming from, which leads them to find that some spy people are feeding them to this giant monster for some reason. And at one point, Antsy, the main character, does uncover the secret library, which ends up helping him find the way to beat said monster. It's a lot more detailed than that, but if I stated every little thing that is in the plot, we would be here forever. In the end, this is a pretty good start for our first episode of a new show. There isn't a dull moment in this episode. Every part of the plot of this episode is very interesting and nothing leaves me bored. It will definitely have you coming back for more. Now let's take a look at the characters. I have a couple positive things and negative things to say about these characters, but let's start with the positives first. One thing that is definitely promising for this show are these spy characters. We see just a glimpse of them in this episode, but it's just enough for you to get curious about what they're doing, and it makes you want to see more of them. They definitely have the potential to become pretty good antagonists. Hopefully the writers use this element to their advantage. I will say, I do like the brother-sister relationship these 2 characters have. They both work off each other very well, and sometimes it can be kind of funny. They just have a very nice relationship. And now let's go over the negatives. My first problem comes from the main character, Antsy. Now, it's not that he's a bad character, it's just that he's meh. He's your typical nice, smart, reserved type of character that we've seen a lot. And he doesn't really do anything to stand out from the rest of the crowd. But hey, it's the first episode, and hopefully he does develop more as a character in future episodes, but for right now, he's kind of bland. My next problem comes from Ollie. He's the energetic, kind of dumb, goofy, comedic relief character. The problem I have with him is that he feels like he could potentially become pretty annoying. Now, thankfully, he didn't become annoying in this episode, but I can see elements of his character that could potentially be annoying for some people, and if they push him too far, then he could easily become annoying and unlikable. As for now, he's fine, but it's something the show will need to prevent in the future. In the end, this is just the first episode of the show, so there's no surprise that there's a couple flaws here and there with the characters. like with Nancy needing more depth and development to this character. But the show still has room for improvement, and hopefully they continue on a good path in the future. Next, let's look at the animation. So, with the animation, I mainly just have positive things to say about it, with maybe one minor problem with it. Overall, the animation is very good. The setting of the Wayne and everything in it is very creative. There's a lot of detail in all the places in the episode, and I really like seeing that. And I do look forward to seeing what the Wayne has in store in future episodes. Now for my one minor gripe with the animation, and that would be with how the characters look in the episode. Now, don't get this confused, the character designs, I think those look fine, but the problem I have is kind of weird. And it may just be a personal preference for me. I guess with how they're drawn, it doesn't look very clean and it looks kind of amateur, if you ask me. This is the same problem I have with OKKO's animation. Now, while I think Welcome to the Wayne looks better than that show, this is still a little problem that does bug me. But this is one small problem that doesn't really take away from the whole experience. The animation is still pretty good. So how's the humor throughout the episode? For the most part, the humor is decent. It's funny, but it's not that great. There are definitely other shows that will make you laugh more and laugh harder. This show, most of the jokes get a good chuckle or two out of you.
And you're not pulling those off.
I have a foot issue!
But a few don't really hit their marks, and a couple are just really unfunny.
So put on your big girl pants. 'Cause I just did. I'll fix those.
Yeah, you will.
Hey! That wasn't that funny.
Are you okay? Never better. And I'm wearing my big girl pants.
It wasn't that funny the first time, you don't have to repeat the damn joke. But hey, at this point I'm way outside of the target demographic for this show. So it's a little understandable if one or two jokes don't really work for me. Besides, I still find the episode somewhat enjoyable. And as someone outside of the target demographic, that's a good thing. One of the hallmarks of great animation is that any person of any age should be able to sit down and enjoy the show. This is a key factor in making great animation, and Welcome to the Wayne does pretty well at doing that. And finally, how much did I enjoy this episode? As you could probably already guess, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. There wasn't really any parts where I was bored or I had no interest in watching the episode. Not much really else to say other than one last thing that didn't really fit anywhere else. One thing I do like about this episode is the mystery element it has to it. It adds to the experience, and it makes you want to come back and see how things unfold. It leaves you asking questions like, what is the spy person doing? Who is that guy? Why does the Wayne have so many weird things going on? This aspect of the episode definitely reminds me of Gravity Falls in that regard. Now, while I don't think this show will be as good as Gravity Falls, this is definitely promising. Overall, this episode was pretty good. Not great, but still good enough to make me wonder why people haven't been talking about it as much as I really think they should. Everything from the plot, to the characters, to the animation, to the humor, and even my overall enjoyment of this episode was pretty good. Welcome to the Wayne is definitely a show I will be keeping my eye on in the future, and one I recommend to every one of you to watch. And that's it for this review. Now, what did you think of Welcome to the Wayne? From what we've seen so far, do you like this show, or do you not like it? I would like to know what you guys think. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys some other time.